First of all, good evening, everyone. So I never expected this many people will be there to hear me speak. मुझे लगता नहीं इतना कुछ आता होगा मुझे, पर surprising. So I won't waste much of your time, and I have tried to keep the things shorter also, क्योंकि मुझे पता है कि एक एस्पिरेंट के जीवन में टाइम कितना इंपॉर्टेंट होता है. और आई विल बी ऑनेस्ट, मैं बहुत कम ही टॉपर स्टॉक वगैरह भी काफ़ी कम ही देखता था. आई सॉ फ्यू, 1 or 2, फेयरली आइडिया लग गया, देन केप्ट ऑन इम्प्रूविंग ओवर इट. सो मुझे भी ऐसा लगता है कि इवन इफ यू आर लिसनिंग टू वन टॉक, लिसन टू इट केयरफुली, यू विल गेट द बेसिक्स ऑफ इट, देन स्लोली आपके पास विजन तो है ही, यू हैव ऑलरेडी टेकन ऑन ऑप्टेड फॉर इट, so you can overcome your problems, seek help again and again, and improvise. So without wasting much time, I'd like to start. And first of all, very thank you, sir, for such a warm welcome. I just skipped it. So thank you so much, sir, for that. So for starting, first of all, I'll ask you a simple question. Why UPSC? आप लोग इंग्लिश से कौन कौन कंफर्टेबल है और नहीं है? मतलब एक सेकंड, कौन कौन कंफर्टेबल इंग्लिश है? अच्छा, यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड इंग्लिश, ठीक है. तो मोस्टली आई कीप द मीडियम इंग्लिश, और उसके बाद कुछ कुछ बीच में अगर लगे कहीं पे प्रॉब्लम, यू आर नॉट एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड, यू कैन आस्क अगेन, मुझसे दोबारा पूछ सकते हैं, मैं दोबारा एक्सप्लेन करने की कोशिश करूँगा उस चीज़ को, ठीक है. सो लेट्स स्टार्ट इट. सो फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज वाई यूपीएससी? क्यों करना चाहते हैं आप यूपीएससी? डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन. सो यू कैन जस्ट थिंक अबाउट योर रीजंस, because I think this is the first step. You have to think about it. And if your reasons are superficial, बहुत छोटे से हैं, जैसे मम्मी पापा ने कहा था या किसी पड़ोस वाले को देख लिया था, तो I'll suggest go back. As simple as that. Because this is a ruthless examination. You have to understand. It's a highly competitive examination. I'm not demotivating you. Because I feel when I say it, it is a ruthless examination. अगर आप जैसे देखते हैं, 70 people are there, 70 to 75 into IAS. Another take 100 people. From one category, you take twice of it, total people will be IPS, and after that, very few in allied services. So I have to be brutally honest, पर इसके साथ मैं ये कहूँगा कि अगर मैं वहाँ बैठा होता 3 साल पहले और मुझे कोई ये बात कहता, तो मैं नहीं सुनता. This is the fun fact about it. मैं इग्नोर कर देता कि यार अपन थोड़ी, अपन तो वहाँ पे जाके खड़े होंगे जो वहाँ पे वो खड़ा है. So अगर आप मेरा जैसा सोचते हैं, तो वेलकम टू दिस मैड रेस. लेट्स बिगिन UPSC प्रिपरेशन. Just one more thing. The moment you have thought about your reason when I was saying, just remember the reason always. क्योंकि लाइफ ऐसी नहीं रहेगी. There will be ups and downs. हो सकता है आज आप लोग फर्स्ट टाइमर्स हैं सारे, किसी ने आज तक प्रीलिम्स दिया है इससे पहले यहाँ पे? नहीं, तो आप फर्स्ट टाइमर्स हैं, तो यू कम विद लॉट ऑफ मोटिवेशन. मैं भी ऐसा ही था. बट कभी क्या होता है, जैसे आज रिजल्ट आया प्रीलिम्स का, यू गो एंड मीट दोज पीपल, दे विल बी वेरी मच डिसहार्टन. और हो सकता है एक आधा तो इसलिए भी नहीं आए होंगे क्योंकि मतलब दैट लॉस इज बिग थिंग. बट देन यू शुड रिमेंबर दिस वेरी रीजन वाई यू स्टार्टेड दिस थिंग. एंड आफ्टर दैट आई कैन जस्ट से मे द ऑड्स बी इन योर फेवर एंड यू क्लियर द एग्जामिनेशन. सो नाउ आई विल इंट्रोड्यूस माई सेल्फ. आई एम Dr. Ajey Singh Rathore. I am an IPS from 2022 batch, and currently I am in Rajasthan Cadre. My academic journey, I started from a school in Jaipur only, SMS school, very nearby to this institute, and I did my till 12th at there. I developed an interest in medical sciences, developed a passion for science, and followed it. After which I went to AIIMS Jodhpur. So in AIIMS I developed my medical skills, and I used to love medical science a lot. Because ये एक डाउट होता है ना कि यार ये डॉक्टर है, ये छोड़ के क्यों आ रहा है? तो बट आई से आई लव्ड डूइंग मेडिकल साइंस. टिल द वेरी डे आई वाज देयर, आई एंजॉयड ईच बिट ऑफ इट. After this, I prepared for UPSC. So in the go, I got around 300 rank, and where I got Railway Protection Force, which is not mentioned here. It was just the previous UPSC 2020 CSE. I got it. In 2021, I got 114 rank, and I was allocated IPS. And I'm currently an IPS based on that. So the funny part is, Vision didn't invite me in the rank 114. I worked hard. But I scored 133 in 2022, so I won't be joining because of it, because I'm already in IPS. I'll get again IPS, so there's no point. But Vision now invited me, so I don't know how the algorithm works. Maybe one. So, but I do agree one part. There is a bit of consistency with me. And today, I have this motto, I teach you this much. You have to understand this examination requires a bit of luck, but mostly the smart work and hard work part. When I am here today, I want to give you that part, which I have understood and developed. सो आई कैन अश्योर यू कि इसके अराउंड रैंक ला सकते हैं, उसके आगे का रास्ता आप खुद ट्रेवल कर सकते हैं. सो व्हाट इज दिस स्ट्रैटेजी? लेट्स डायरेक्टली गो टू द थिंग कि क्या वो चीज़ है जो हम डिफरेंट कर सकते हैं. आई मीन देयर इज डिफरेंट आइडिया कि वो ऐसी क्या चीज़ होगी. सो बिफोर गोइंग टू द स्ट्रैटेजी ऑफ ईच इंडिविजुअल थिंग, आई टेल यू द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ स्ट्रैटेजी. सो एवोल्यूशन समझते हैं आप? सो आई टेल यू अ स्टोरी ऑफ एवोल्यूशन. किस किस को पता है कि हम ह्यूमंस एप्स से आए हैं? हम मतलब कहते हैं ना बंदर हमारे पूर्वज हैं. किस किस को पता है? बट दैट्स अ रॉन्ग आंसर, है ना. हम कभी भी बंदरों से डायरेक्टली नहीं आए. एवोल्यूशन को समझने में हम यही गलती करते हैं. एवोल्यूशन इज नॉट ऑर्डर. एवोल्यूशन ने कभी भी एक के बाद एक स्टेप्स नहीं लिए. एवोल्यूशन इज क्योस. क्योस समझते हैं? रैंडमनेस, कोई पैटर्न नहीं है. दिस इज एवोल्यूशन. एक एग्जाम्पल बताता हूँ. देयर इज अ स्टोरी ऑफ मॉथ इन यूके. मॉथ मतलब एक कीड़ा होता है, एक इंसेक्ट, वाइट कलर का मॉथ. आप बायोलॉजी बैकग्राउंड से हैं तो आपने बुक में पढ़ा होगा एनसीईआरटी में. तो वाइट मॉथ वो एक कीड़ा था जो ब्रिटेन में मोस्टली पेड़ों के जो तने होते हैं, इट यूज टू बी वाइट. वो कीड़ा वहाँ पे बैठता था, किसी को दिखता नहीं था, और उनकी पॉपुलेशन बढ़ती गई. और जो ब्लैक कीड़े होते हैं, एवरी प्रेडेटर यूज टू बाइट ऑन देम एंड ब्लैक इंसेक्ट्स रिड्यूस्ड इन नंबर while the white insects camouflaged and their population increased. Now this funny thing happened, there you came industrial revolution. सुना होगा आपने उसके बारे में. सारे पेड़ काले हो गए बिकॉज ऑफ पोल्यूशन. अब वो जो कीड़ा वाइट था वो बाहर दिखने लगा, उसकी पॉपुलेशन गिरने लगी और ब्लैक वालों की बढ़ गई. सो कौन सा कीड़ा बेटर था, वाइट और ब्लैक? नॉट अ रेसिस्ट स्टेटमेंट, बट विच वन वॉज बेटर? देयर इज नो आंसर. This is chance. This is a game of chance. So when we take humans also, we become human centric and we say कि human is the top of the food pyramid. हम सबसे developed species हैं. But to be honest, there is nothing else. We are not the fastest swimmer. We are not the flying species. We are not the fastest, the strongest animal. Chance favored us. Just the chance favored us. So आज ये story क्यों बताई जा रही है? Now this is a question. Because we have to understand one thing. It's not the smartest of the species. It's not the fastest of the species. Rather, the one which is most adaptable to change. जो सबसे तेज है वो नहीं, जो सबसे ताकतवर है वो नहीं, बट जो चेंज के लिए रेडी है, जो चेंज को एक्सेप्ट कर सकता है, he will survive. Now I'll relate to this exam. When I say the story, I mean every word of it in this exam. आप हो सकता है आप ऐसे में बहुत अच्छा ऐसे लिखते हो, आप ये सोच रहे हो कि आप ऐसे में अच्छे हैं तो आप जीत जाएंगे इस रेस को. नहीं. आप हो सकता है प्रीलिम्स में बहुत अच्छे हो, आप हो सकता है इंजीनियरिंग बैकग्राउंड से आ रहे हो, आप सीसेट में बहुत अच्छे हो, बट कैन यू विन द रेस? नो. यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड ये एग्जाम मल्टीपल स्किल्स चेक करता है. एंड दिस एग्जाम इज नॉट एन एग्जाम ऑफ सिलेक्शन, इट्स एग्जाम ऑफ एलिमिनेशन. ये आपको सेलेक्ट नहीं करता है कि सर आप इतने नंबर ले आएंगे तो आप सेलेक्ट हो गए. इट टेस्ट यू मल्टीपल टाइम्स, मल्टीपल स्किल्स. प्रीलिम्स में अलग टाइप के स्किल्स, मेंस में अलग टाइप के स्किल्स, इंटरव्यू में अलग टाइप के स्किल्स. एंड इफ यू सर्वाइव ऑल दोज स्टेजेस, यू क्लियर दिस एग्जाम. सो इट्स नॉट एन एग्जाम ऑफ say being a winner. Rather, this is exam of being a survivor. Can you survive? Because what I have seen, what all the guidance I have given, I come with this problem. बहुत सारे एस्पिरेंट होते हैं जो आते हैं और कहते हैं कि आई एम गुड विद दिस पार्ट, बट आई एम नॉट श्योर वाई आई एम नॉट क्लियरिंग दिस एग्जाम. प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि हम क्रिंज करने लगते हैं आफ्टर वन थिंग. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अभी आप प्रीलिम्स के रिजल्ट के बाद किसी से पूछिएगा, somebody will say यार हम ह्यूमैनिटीज बैकग्राउंड से थे, हम पैराग्राफ कर सकते थे, वी कुड नेवर डू दिस मैथमेटिकल पार्ट. इस वजह से नहीं हुआ, यूपीएससी ने पैटर्न अलग बना दिया. कोई कहेगा कि इस बार सीसेट का पैटर्न नहीं तो जीएस का पैटर्न चेंज हो गया. द आइडिया इज पैटर्न चेंज होता रहेगा. देयर आर 10 स्किल्स. वट यू आर डूइंग रॉन्ग इज आप एक स्किल या 2 स्किल या 3 स्किल में अच्छे होते हैं एंड यू थिंक द जॉब्स डन. रादर यू हैव टू सर्वाइव ईच सिंगल स्टेप ऑफ दिस एग्जाम टू क्लियर दिस एग्जाम. Am I making my point clear? So when I'll be telling about each single step and what is the thing you need in this exam. There are more things you need to go beyond what I tell now, but I tell you the basic skill you will be needing it. And then you will have to hone over the skill. So should we start? किसी को नींद तो नहीं आ रही है? ज़्यादा बोरिंग तो नहीं हो गया? मुझे नींद आती थी यार दिन में क्लास में हमेशा. So I feel for you. No problem. So let's start. फर्स्ट थिंग आई टेक टुडे इज ऑप्शनल. विजन ने मुझे पॉइंटर्स बताएं किस किस में, उसी के अकॉर्डिंग मैं जाऊँगा. तो आई विल बी डिस्कसिंग अबाउट ऑप्शनल. My optional was medical science, in which I scored first 250, then 278 successively, which was highest of medical science at that time. But when compared to other optional, not so exceptional. So I'm neutral about my optional. पर medical science के बारे में तभी बोलूँगा अगर कोई डॉक्टर यहाँ बैठा है तो. Is there a doctor sitting here? You are a doctor. So single doctor, I think if you have some queries, we can discuss afterwards. No, so let's not waste other people's time. मतलब उनको लगेगा कि not useful for us. But in general, I'll talk about what optional to take. Have you chosen the optional? Everybody have decided? No, you have not decided. Okay. So I remember the day when I came. मैंने सबसे पूछा because I came new. I came from a medical background. I asked कि यार optional क्या लेना है? तो उन्होंने मुझे बोला कि 3 criteria पे लेना है. First, the subject you love the most should be the criteria. Second, are you good enough in the subject? Third, is the subject scoring enough? And now at that time, I chose medical science because I loved the most. I was honest in the first statement when I said I enjoyed every bit of the time spent in my college years. So I take optional as medical science. But now after these years of preparation in medical science and generally meeting people, I'll say we have to tweak the criteria a bit. The criteria of love comes last. And when I say this, I'm catering to an average student who wants to choose the subject. The first criteria, are you good enough in the subject or not? Because if you love the subject but the subject doesn't love you back, it doesn't make sense. Because it is an exam where each single marks matter, especially if the competition is higher ranks. Because few marks there, I would have crossed other things. Few marks down, I would have been out of list. There have been friends who were equivalent to me. They were equally good people. They should be deserving to stand here and tell you. But few marks down, and they were out of the list. Few marks down, they were out of prelims, they were out of mains. I told you this exam is ruthless and is an examination of elimination. So in this, you cannot compromise on this. It should be the thing you are good in. And second, you have to be pragmatic. आपको समझदार होना पड़ेगा, समझना पड़ेगा, is it scoring? For example, there's a subject of mathematics. If you are good enough, it is a very good scoring subject. Why not go for it? But the one thing, I won't tell you which subject is good. This you have to figure out. Because यहाँ एक प्रॉब्लम है, मैं क्या कोई भी टॉपर नहीं आपको बता पाएगा. Because हम अपना सब्जेक्ट जानते हैं. You have to understand the limitation. हम नहीं जानते दूसरा सब्जेक्ट कैसा है और आप किस सब्जेक्ट में और किस एप्टीट्यूड से आते हैं. For that, you have to do the brainstorming. But I'll tell you the process is, syllabus easily मिलता है UPSC का. Download the syllabus. आप पढ़ें syllabus में क्या है, previous year questions देखें उसके अंदर क्या है. You can see some topper videos. They are specifically telling about their syllabus and the subject, what it requires and how to prepare for the subject. And you can take the analysis of previous years. कि कितना scoring रहा है कौन सा subject. There are some which is very difficult because there's a lot of syllabus in those. For example, हमारे medical science में the syllabus is very vast. ये problem maths में भी है. So this you have to assess after this. This is the process for optional. Any questions about optional? No questions? Either way. हाँ मतलब no, this is a good chance because I encounter this problem. People are messaging on Instagram and trying to reach out to not just me, to many people, और वो किसी से नंबर ले रहे हैं WhatsApp and it's difficult वहाँ पे explain करना. But now I'm here for this purpose only. So if you have any queries, you can ask. बाकियों को भी फायदा हो जाएगा. No queries? Okay, go on. के लिए उसके आगे मतलब what was the question? You have given the attempts before? अच्छा, तो उसमें आपको प्रॉब्लम आ रही ज्योग्राफी में? यार एक्चुअली आई वांट टू हेल्प यू बट दिस इज अ लिमिटेशन आई हैव टोल्ड यू बिफोर हैंड. आप ज्योग्राफी के लिए गलत आदमी से पूछ रहे हैं, मतलब टू बी ऑनेस्ट. बिकॉज अगर मैं यहाँ पे कुछ और कह के भी चला जाता हूँ, आई हैव लिमिटेड नॉलेज क्योंकि जितना इंटरेक्शन हुआ है, बट आई एम नॉट द राइट पर्सन. सो अगर हम आपको हम there's a line in medical science, premium non nocere, first do no harm. अगर आपके पास कोई पेशेंट आता है, आप उसे ट्रीट करना नहीं चाहते, डोंट कट ओपन द पेशेंट. आप उसे नहीं सही कर सकते तो नुकसान मत करिए, जैसा है वैसा रखिए. तो दिस इज व्हाट आई फील. ज्योग्राफी के लिए आपको किसी और से कॉन्टैक्ट करना पड़ेगा, हु हैज़ टेकन ज्योग्राफी, हु हैज़ क्लियर दिस एग्जाम विद ज्योग्राफी. दिस इज व्हाट आई फील. हाँ, प्लीज गो ऑन. नो, नॉट एग्जैक्टली. मतलब इट इज़ गुड इफ इट हैपन्स. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आप ऐसा कोई सब्जेक्ट उठा लेते हैं जैसे PSIR ओवरलैप करता सिलेबस, सो दिस इज़ वन बिट एडवांटेज. पर मैं ये नहीं कहूँगा कि दिस कैन बी द ओनली क्राइटेरिया ऑफ चूजिंग, बिकॉज आप देखेंगे, सो देर आर पीपल हु हैव टेकन, से एंथ्रोपोलॉजी इज काफ़ी इज अ बिग हिट सब्जेक्ट, mathematics is a good subject, people are clearing from other places also. And in later part I'll be talking about timetable, how we have arranged the things, because in GS also there's a limited knowledge you need. You will have time for optional, dedicated time for optional. So there will be certain, I can say 5 or 10% advantage if you take a subject which overlaps, but not beyond that. There's a separate competition in the subject and you have to face it. For example, अगर आप geography लेते हैं, geography in GS is a very small part. But in optional, आपको पता ही है, it is in-depth analysis is required. So you have to assess the difference. Okay. So let's move ahead. The next, are there more questions? No, I guess. So let's start with the prelims specific strategy. So this was a pointer written to me. What is the prelims specific strategy? So my answer is, there is no prelims specific strategy to begin with. Because prelims is now the buzzword of the town. Everybody is afraid of prelims. Yeah, prelims से नहीं निकल रहा, prelims से नहीं निकल रहा. So everybody is just focusing on prelims. So the first step is not focus on the prelims to begin with. जैसे mostly आपने बताया, you are the first timers. So you have to understand what you have to start preparation is. You have to start with mains. Prelims भी करेंगे, पर there is a pattern to prepare. आप सबसे पहले prelims के पीछे भागेंगे, तो अगर आपने prelims clear भी कर लिया, तो what next? Prelims के बाद 3 महीने मिलते हैं. That's not enough. And prelims at this time is a bit vague exam, and it needs less of specific knowledge and more of understanding of the concepts, and which comes when you have thoroughly understood the subject. So for that, I say, सबसे पहले go home and take the syllabus of UPSC. Well, everybody says this thing. Somebody says paste it, remember it, write it down. Whichever way you feel like. But the idea is you should know what is the syllabus of UPSC. You should take books of UPSC based on the syllabus. I'll be covering these many topics. Once you are done with the syllabus of mains, it will be much easier to go for prelims. So to begin with, I'll tell my book list, then we'll slowly move forward, and then I'll address the question of prelims. So the book list I have followed. Now there will be slight variation. आप किसी और टॉपर का सुनेंगे, slight variation, but doesn't matter. आपने कोई और बुक पढ़ ली है, it's fine, stick to it. This is what I followed, पर ये end list नहीं है, UPSC इसको follow नहीं कर रही, ये मैंने follow करी है. कोई और हल्का सा change कर सकता है, it doesn't matter much. Okay, so in polity, I have mostly relied on Lakshmikant. And the reason is, ये copy है Constitution की. If you look at the Bare Act, copy है Lakshmikant, so you don't have to do much in it. So for mains, you will have to add something extra, but when I will be discussing about mains, I'll tell. Next comes governance. In that, I took the material of vision, which is good enough material. Then comes economics. In economics, I have relied on the notes of Shri Ram IAS. There are notes which are available. I think they have a book now, I don't know, but this is what I took. And I had economics with my 12th also, so I was pretty much fine with economics. In environment, till now, I'm not very much satisfied with the pattern of books. I have asked vision people, because I like their pretty 365 of environment good. But the problem with most of the books I've seen, I took the Shankar IAS book. So the problem is, they have separately written. For example, they'll be talking about pollution, and the laws of pollution comes after few chapters. There's the chapter of laws, and then there are chapter of international conventions. So they have separately given. So I feel a break in reading. So this affects me, but I have read the Shankar IAS book, and then I go for PT 365 regularly. But I like the idea of keeping all the things together, consolidated. So if you find some other book better, please go for it. This is what I went for it. In geography, NCERT is must. Geography NCERT is very good. 11th, 12th NCERT. So, and it is must but not sufficient. आप पढ़ रहे होंगे, you'll realize that it is mentioning sometime concepts, but it's not explaining the concepts. You will have to Google it. There are few good sites, PMF, IES, and random Google also. Type on YouTube, there are free videos, people explaining, if you have some doubts. But you'll have to go this way, because I remember, I think previous mains it happened that somebody asked me that there was a question about one thing which was written in, I think it was El Nino, or I have forgotten the question, but that word was written in NCERT. So somebody asked, this topic is not explained in NCERT, how can you attempt this question? I simply said, the word was mentioned in NCERT and you should know, because once you are reading, एक word समझ में नहीं आया, you won't skip. You will try to read about it. So it's not sufficient, but it is must. Most of the questions come from NCERT. But understand each word written in it. It will help you. Next, art and culture. For this, Singhania is a good book to understand what all is there in art and culture. But I feel direct questions are picked from NCERT. There is an art and culture NCERT. It's a separate book. I am forgetting. I think it's class 11th only. Yeah, okay. So, but there is a art and culture NCERT. You'll search on Google, you'll find it. So, reading NCERT is necessary because if there's a question in prelims directly taken from NCERT, you can solve if you have read the NCERT. But it lacks the link, which is good in Singhania. It gives in structure. So, once make a structure out of Singhania, or if you have taken coaching, you'll get the structure, then go for NCERT. This is the idea. Next comes international relations and science and technology. Mostly relied on current affairs. Current affairs, I used to read newspapers, and beyond that, there are PT 365 and Mains 365 books of Vision IAS. I used to follow that. That's good enough. It covers all the required things of that year. For society, the videos of Vision IAS, Smriti ma'am's videos are there. They are good enough to begin with. And then you'll have to add on based on PT. In every subject, there are current affairs, you have to build on it. In history, modern history, I have gone for Spectrum, you can go for Bipin Chandra also. Based on your choice, what you have done before. And in old and medieval, I follow new NCERT, themes NCERT. There is a new book. Some people follow old, but I follow themes one. And also I have taken Tamil Nadu book, which is a small book. The Tamil Nadu book is just for providing the structure because the new NCERTs lack structure. But 11th, 12th themes book are very good. At least I feel questions are picked up from that place. So I think I have covered all the subjects. If I have missed on any, you can tell me. Economics, I have taken Sri Ramaiya's notes. So this is the book list. You can more or less change based on your understanding. But there will be one advantage of following any topper's book list. You get the basic to begin with, because the problem with first timers is you will be running for 3-4 books. So if I am telling you one thing, tomorrow another person will come and say maybe different book, so don't buy 2 different books. If you don't understand, do the toss, choose one book, but just stick to one book. This is the idea. Okay. So next, I want to explain this part, how to prepare, since there has to be a timetable of preparation. To begin with, for example, at this time of year we are in, you should prepare for both mains and prelims. This is the pattern everybody follows. Change it based on your understanding. Till December, mostly we follow like this. We read these books which I have told you. We solve prelims papers. We solve some answer writing practice of mains. And we continue like this till December. December, January, and sometimes February is usually reserved for optional subject. This is what they do. From February to March, we full-fledged start for prelims. Because especially when you are first timers, you need more focus on prelims. And when exactly should one start for prelims is another question Vision told me, which people have doubt. It depends on your performance in these years. For example, now you are solving papers. Now you solve one CSAT paper and you realize that you are very good in CSAT. Now you don't need to give a specific time for CSAT in February. You can push it later. So this will vary based on you. So always tweak the things according to yourself. We all may look alike, we all may have same destiny, but we are not same. Everybody has to chart their own path. Fair enough. Next point was, I hope I'm not boring you much. But yeah, okay, I remember next topic is how many mock tests to solve. So I'll change the mood also. इसमें मुझे जॉन आलिया याद आते हैं. जॉन आलिया यूपीसी एस्पिरेंट नहीं है, जॉन आलिया एक पोएट है, अगर आप उनको फॉलो करते हैं तो कितने मॉक टेस्ट देने हैं. तो जॉन आलिया साहब कहते हैं कौन सीखा है सिर्फ बातों से, सबको एक हादसा ज़रूरी है. तो ये जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ उससे प्रीलिम्स या कोई भी एग्ज़ाम नहीं निकलेगा. एक ना एक बार हादसा होना ही चाहिए. तो वो बेटर है कि एग्ज़ाम में नहीं हो, घर पे ही हो जाए. तो सॉल्व एज मेनी मॉक टेस्ट एज पॉसिबल, यू विल अंडरस्टैंड. द पैटर्न इज वंस यू रीड अ टॉपिक, इफ़ यू गेट अ टॉपिक वाइज पेपर, फेयर इनफ. नहीं मिलता तो आफ्टर वन सब्जेक्ट सॉल्व वन पेपर, बोथ प्रीलिम्स एंड मेंस. वंस यू सॉल्व इट, यू विल अंडरस्टैंड वेयर यू आर लैकिंग एंड यू कैन इम्प्रोवाइज ओवर इट. For example, again, the same example, CSET. Like I solved one paper of CSET. I felt I am fine with CSET. And after that, I solved the CSET paper in exam only. I never practiced anything. So, but I practiced for GS because I was not that good in GS. So you have to balance based on your understanding. अब हो सकता है you realize you are good with GS. आपने पढ़ा था book को and you remember it and you can solve the questions. But you are not good with CSET. And specifically, it may happen that you're not good with mathematics or not good with paragraphs. So focus on that part. But this you'll realize once you solve the paper. So पहले solve कीजिए, समझिए, and then improvise over it. This is the way to go ahead. And how to analyze the paper is another question. Paper this is a big problem. We solve the paper, एक test दे दिया, दो test दे दिए, तीन test दे दिए, which is easy. But जो check करने वाला part है, we never do. कि फिर कर लेंगे. But that is most important part because that is where learning happens. Solving is just for the fun part. So how to solve if you are going for app based platforms, जैसे विजन की app है, I remember. So they have the analysis section which gives, okay, you are this much stronger in this much subject and you have to work on this subject, which is fine to start with. Next comes the content part. For example, अगर polity का कोई question है, so if you have marked it wrong because of small error, because polity there are so many things, because they write in paper they'll be written, okay, for this ordinance you have to pass in 1 month. But if you read Lakshmikant, it is written 30 days, which is 1 month. But 30 days and 1 month are two different things. And the statement can be wrong. So once you solve the paper, you realize you have made a mistake. Go back to the book, mark it in the book. This is the thing I have to look back. That's how you remember the thing and keep on learning. And so there are maybe more doubts because there's a pattern change in prelims. So there are all the videos about pattern change, ab kya kare, because the techniques are failing. But I think this is what they call infodemic. I'm not sure you have heard the word. Because of social media, there's an infodemic. इतनी सारी information आ रही है कि we are becoming confused. ऐसा कुछ भी बहुत dramatic नहीं हुआ है. मतलब heavens have not fallen down because of pattern change. The idea you have to understand in prelims is, it's not asking somebody कि we want an Einstein. कि अगर कल कोई भी आइंस्टीन नहीं मिला तो किसी का भी सिलेक्शन नहीं होगा. दिस इज नॉट द गेम. द गेम इज एलिमिनेशन. हम में से हर साल 10,000 लोग क्लियर करेंगे प्रीलिम्स. दिस इज फॉर श्योर. सो पेपर का पैटर्न चेंज हुआ तो सबके लिए चेंज हुआ है, आपके अकेले के लिए चेंज नहीं हुआ. सो इट हार्डली मेक्स अ डिफरेंस. सो दिस हैज टू बी इन द थिंकिंग. द पैटर्न चेंज इज देयर, सो यू हैव टू प्रैक्टिस विद अ न्यूअर पैटर्न. एज सिंपल एज दैट. मतलब इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा डिफरेंस वाली बात नहीं है. आई एग्री इट इज बिकमिंग डिफिकल्ट टू एलिमिनेट एंड ऑल, बट techniques will keep on changing, so will the paper, so will the difficulty, but the population remains same. So it doesn't matter. Just one thing, आपको शायद 50% probability rule पता है कि नहीं. This is the only thing which is logical in paper. That is, if you don't know the question, you have never heard the word before, leave the question altogether. But if you have doubt in two questions, two options, you have ruled out two options कि यार ये दो नहीं हो सकते, तो in that it's better to go for it. This is the trick, this is the only trick remaining, I think. And because it makes logically sense, because the marking is 1/3 negative and the probability of going wrong is 1/2. Though you can be the unlucky guy, आपने 10 मार्क करे तो 10 के 10 ही गलत हो गए, but probability says ऐसा नहीं होगा. The chances are less. So this is the only logical or the smart trick remaining. The rest of the thing depends on the practice, the content you read. So keep doing it and you will be able to success. So this is what I want to say about prelims. Any questions on prelims? No, please. Current affairs. Actually, I'll be dealing with current affairs later. They have given in that order. I'll talk about current affairs. It will be covered. Any more questions? No questions on prelims. Surprising, because I thought prelims might have maximum number of questions with the doubts. No problem, if you have any question later on also, you can ask. And don't hesitate, this is one thing I'll say, because there's a famous line, if I remember, that if you ask, you are fool for once, but if you don't ask, you are fool for your entire life. So if you ask and you know the thing, then you can improvise. अगर आप नहीं पूछते हैं तो पूरी ज़िंदगी आप उसी डाउट के साथ जी रहे हैं, है ना? So next we'll be dealing with mains. Okay, so what is the material for mains? So there we'll go subject wise. GS1 history, I've told you spectrum. It is basic, it won't completely cover the mains thing. So for mains thing, I used to do this one thing. I used to solve papers. You can solve vision paper. There are more paper sometimes freely available also. There's a democratization of education. तो आप पेपर लेंगे तो वहाँ पे there are different questions and they have given answers for those questions. I used to take content from those answers also, because sometimes these contents, for example, even the books are updated. For example, I still remember, आप spectrum देखिए. There's one page कि why the battle is fought in Panipat, if you have seen. Now the beauty of that page is it was not there in spectrum. But when UPSC asked the question, they added the page in the book to tell, okay, our book covers. So this will always keep on happening. Based on current affairs, based on newer things, there will be newer topics added. So you can pick those kind of topics from the papers you are solving. The more papers you solve, the more content will be added. So in my spectrum only or in other copy, I am just keep on adding more thing which I think is given in a refined manner. That's how I built my resources. So it's a gradual process, and not just history. In all the subjects, you will have to follow the same path. This is one. Second, the topic in GS1 is history is one topic. Society, I have told you, the notes are good enough, and the current affairs you have to do, the mains 365 is a good starting point. You'll have to add on more examples and other case studies, statistics, NFHS data, other things. And this you can acquire from the mains 365, or you can directly read from newspaper when these report comes, and keep adding in your value addition material. That's how answers are written. Second, geography. Geography don't have to go much. NCERT is more than enough. Just read the way you have done for prelims. That is more than enough. You don't have to separately. Just one more thing. Map making is a separate thing that you have to practice. So I think Vision has a class for map making with them. So otherwise also you can learn to make a map. You could type on YouTube if you don't, not student of Vision, type on YouTube how to make a map. You'll understand the easy way to make a map. Now come to topic 2, polity, more or less Lakshmikant to begin with, but not the end. Yes, you have to make the value addition, because again, polity is about current affairs. There was a topic, for example, abolition of or abrogation of Article 370. It is not in news, so there is no point reading it now. But what is in news, you'll have to read it. So either you directly take from newspaper, there are some editorials discussing it, there are some institute online free websites discussing it, you can take it. If you are not able to do that, there is a material, yearly compilation, mains 365, you can directly read from it. But it's better if you are following the newspaper, because you get an opinion in your head. For example, there were farm protests. Now, if you have thoroughly understood the concept, you have a basic understanding. Were they good? Were they bad? What was the deficiency in the thing? Because this is generally developing over a period of time and not just relying on the final current year compilation. So this is the process you build on your material. So keep sticking it at one place. This is how you have to do. GS3, there will be few additions. Economics, you don't have to do much, remains same. Environment remains same. Science and tech remains same. You can directly go for the current affairs magazine. There is few subjects, for example, disaster management is a separate subject. Security is a separate subject, which is not there in prelims, but here in this. So for this, I have taken Vision value added material. They have a good material, so that can be relied upon. And one more thing I have forgotten somewhere. Yeah, the post-independence and the world history, though there are less questions from it now. But what I did was, earlier I made notes out of it when I read it first time from Vision material and from net and all. So now it's a easy compendium of pages to read from, and you can directly read. And if you are a lazy person, then on Telegram there are toppers channels. So they are posting their stuff. They have made their own notes. You can directly download the notes for these kind of subjects because the weightage is less. If you work hard for economics, if you work hard for polity or other subjects, it will make sense. But if you start working hard for world history, it will be less useful. But you should know basics of it. If there will be one question, you should be able to answer it in basic capacity. So you have to understand, you have to be smart in your studying. You cannot read the entire world history from first to last page because the utility has to be understood. And now the GS4 paper. Now this is an entirely different paper. So there is, I mean, what I feel is this is one paper in which you don't exactly go to books. If you go for books, you won't exactly get the answer. For example, there are books like Lukeman, IAS and other books. Vision also have material. There are classes. But what you have to understand, there is a syllabus of GS4, which is very good. Finest syllabus written in all the 4 papers because it has exactly mentioned the words it wants you to know. Now take whatever source you feel like. You can use a book, you can use the classes, you can use Google, but understand the meaning of the terms. That's it. You should know what integrity means, what honesty means. Is there anyone who understands it? I mean, these words, because I can then explain how it makes difference. Is anyone aware about the 2 words? What is the meaning of it? Please go on.
When we talk about integrity, the sense of integrity comes within ourselves. And when we talk about honesty, it is like outside understanding. Like if I say this is a chair, so if I see this chair and I say that this is a chair, this is like being honest outside. Being a person of integrity is a person of honesty inside.
Okay. Fair enough, but what I feel is, when I heard you have taken this is the thing I have studied myself, but the problem is, it should be one line thing. It should be crystal clear. For example, honesty all the time is integrity. When if I have to explain, I'll simply say honesty we all know, just not saying lie. Simple definition. But integrity is something which, when there is honesty in what you think, what you do, what you act. This is a definition written, but what I'm saying is integrity is different from honesty. Like for example, I am honest today. This is honesty. But integrity is my honesty will be intact in whatever situation I will be in. Maybe I'm an aspirant, maybe I'm just giving a simple talk. I'm honest, it's easy. But I'm working as an IPS, now that's difficult. If I'm honest that time also, now that's integrity. So you understand the 2 terms differently. So there can be examples to understand it. So what I do with ethics is understand all the terms very much crystal clear with their examples. But will you be able to solve the paper? No. Paper is different. For paper, you have to see the paper. When you look at ethics paper, it's a difficult paper, so start by reading 1 or 2 papers of toppers, how they go about it. Because there are some vague statements, there are some vague quotes, and you have to explain. But how the syllabus helps it? It gives you material to write in those answers. Because if you see the ethics paper today also, without any preparation, maybe you will be able to write. Because it is a vague paper. For example, if you look at case studies, there are some situation of ethics. Everybody knows what is the right thing. Maybe we are not following the right thing, but we know कि ये गलत कर रहा है, इसको जेल में डालना है. This is simple logic. So we can write the answers today. But what differentiates a good answer and a bad answer is the understanding of the syllabus we had. This is how ethics has to be done. So very sorry if I have not mentioned specific books, specific notes, but I don't think that is very much required. What is required is practice and understanding of this paper. Am I clear with this? Because if you have doubt, you can ask questions because it's a different thing to do. Am I clear? Oh, great. So, okay, next pointer I have is answer writing. So when to start answer writing? As soon as possible. But now certainly if you have not studied anything, you cannot write. So as soon as possible means as soon as you have studied the thing, you can write the answer. Now this can happen once you have studied the topic and if you have find the right question. So now for that it will be a bit hard For example, UPSC, when you look, the questions are not, I say, like it used to be in our college days or something like that. For example, what is this scheme? It won't ask ever. There can be one or two questions. I'm not talking about those questions, but it never asks direct questions. What it asks is maybe a general statement about the problems of women of the 19th century are different from 20th century, something like that. Critically analyze. This is the question how UPSC forms. So what you need is not just one topic. You need an understanding of so many more topics. So this gradually develops. So once you start reading, you'll be able to attempt these kind of questions. So you'll have to wait for that time. So what is that time? I feel once you are done with the subject, or once you are developed with one or two interlinked topics, start writing easy answers. But once you have graduated enough, start writing UPSC kind of answers. So this is the way you have to follow. And how to write answers? Now I feel it requires a proper class, and I don't want to go, because if you type on YouTube today itself, so there are free videos to tell it. In fact, including Vision IAS, free videos are available, even if you're not a student, how to write an answer, because it is a bigger topic. It needs, for example, I'll be honest, मैं जब यहाँ पे आया था प्रिपेयर करने, मैं आंसर डायरेक्ट लिखता था. अगर मुझसे पूछता है कि ये सारी समस्या क्यों हो रही है या इकोनॉमी में ये क्यों हो रहा है, तो मैं सीधा लिख दूंगा रिसेशन. रिसेशन इज द रीजन. कोई इधर उधर की बातें नहीं, डायरेक्ट आंसर. सो आई वाज नॉट द राइट पर्सन. सो देयर इज अ प्रॉपर पैटर्न. दे राइट इंट्रोडक्शंस, दे राइट बॉडी, दे राइट कंक्लूजन्स. अगर आप मेरे जैसे फील्ड से आते हैं और आप ये सब नहीं जानते हैं, देयर आर फ्यू पीपल हु माइट बी नोइंग इट प्रीवियसली. अगर नहीं जानते हैं तो दिस इज द प्रोसेस दे हैव टू फॉलो. सो इन क्वेश्चंस देयर आर की वर्ड्स इन द एंड. आपको समझना होता है कि क्वेश्चन पूछ क्या रहा है, क्या लिखना है. तो it needs a separate discussion. So few pointers I'll just still say. Answer contains introduction, body, conclusion. You have to go for the keywords. जैसे मैंने बोला था, women problems of 19th-20th century, whatever. In the end, there is a thing written, comment, critically analyze. These are keywords. You have to look for it. And sometimes, in one single question, there are so many small subparts. You should answer all the subparts. These are the basic key you have to remember while answering the question. For rest of the finer things, because once you start reading, you'll understand there is a separate division politically, economically, socially. This is how you made points. For this, you can watch the video. And if you want, I can maybe at other day explain, because it requires dedicated focus. This is the thing. Next, they have written is, how many questions should one attempt in mains? Is this a doubt? Because they have written it. So as much as you can write without writing rubbish. Now if you don't know anything, don't waste your time, because time is scarce. Aapne mains, you are beginners. If you start writing mains paper, you'll understand time is very precious. In mains, I still remember after writing papers, हाथ दर्द करने लग जाता है बहुत ज़्यादा. You are writing with maximum capacity. In writing those 20 questions in those fixed 3 hours is a very challenging task in itself. And I feel I won't find even a single person who says कि मैं easily complete कर पाया. Everybody has to push enough. So don't waste your time if you don't know at all. For all the questions you know, you have to attempt. There's no doubt about it. But one thing we have to understand, because maybe the idea behind this question may be this, कि if you don't know a question, should you still attempt? So one thing about answers I'll say, it's not a test of how many questions you attempt. Rather, how much better you can write in the questions you have attempted. Because mains वो लोग लिखते हैं जो prelims clear करते हैं. And I'll be honest, out of 20 questions, उनको 17-18 questions आते हैं. क्योंकि the questions are vague. They very rarely ask some specific, for example, Cyberdome was a question 2-3 years back. I think I didn't write that mains, but I read that question. So Cyberdome was a question किसी को नहीं आता था. अब now that question nobody knows, so उसमें कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. No, मतलब एक आधा बच्चा कर भी लेगा तो it's not that he will be selected. It's not a game of that. You have to understand. It's about those 18-19 questions which every single person knows. That is the decider. Because everybody knows the answer, but how much better you can write those answers. This is the game. So this you have to gradually understand. You have to practice these things, and this is how it is done. So this is what I have to say about mains. Any questions? Either I'm very good in explaining So you don't have questions, and that's fine. Any questions in this thing? You can ask other things related to mains if you want. Maybe not what I've discussed. Essay is the next topic. I'm just moving for it. Now, please.
प्री के माइंडसेट से मेंस के माइंडसेट में जो स्विच होता है वो एनालिसिस कैसे स्टार्ट करें, मतलब बिगनिंग कैसे हो?
For analysis, okay, the idea is बहुत major switch नहीं होता है. The content remains same. For example, the question I hypothetically created this question, the 19th century, 20th century woman. For example, आप okay, very sorry. Are you able to hear what I'm saying till now? Acha, her question. What was your question exactly?
प्री के माइंडसेट से मेंस के माइंडसेट में स्विच करने के लिए जो एनालिटिकल स्किल हमको वापस से लेनी पड़ती है उसके लिए कैसे, मतलब एक ही सिलेबस को आप प्री के ओरिएंटेशन से पढ़ रहे हो, फिर आप मेंस के ओरिएंटेशन से उसको पढ़ने वाले हो, तो वो स्विच.
So our question is, if you have developed a prelims-oriented mindset for reading a subject and then you have to switch to a mains-oriented mindset to solve the same subject, so how to make that switch? So this is our question. So what I say is the content is same. You have to just understand how to apply it. For example, I spoke about that question, the difference between 19th century and 20th century women. So maybe suppose we are writing about women movement. So if you are preparing for prelims, you'll be directly going to spectrum and seeing what all movements women did in that century, what all activities they did. So you know maybe major women, the names of those women, the activities done by those women. This is what you read for prelims. This is the knowledge formation has been done. What you need in mains answer is just to apply the knowledge. You have to understand how to arrange those knowledge. First, you have to write an introduction about women, which can be a quote or whichever way you want. Now you have to make the analytical comparison. So maybe if you are discussing about political movements, you say the political movements became more assertive and self-controlled. Say the movements in 19th century were led by, say, maybe male members and not women members, but in 20th century, women were leading. For example, this movement, they became economically more powerful. You will be giving those examples. You give example of Seva, organizations created by women. So these are the things we read for prelims. These are the very same thing we'll be writing in mains exam. What you need is to understand how to write. And this comes when you start writing those same things. What I'm saying is the analytical part is not a rocket science. This is what we understand. When you are reading the same thing, you'll understand those things. But what you need to know is how to write, how to fit those things you have acquired into answer, how to arrange that thing. And that comes with practice. है ना? मुझे फिर से जॉन आलिया याद आते हैं, कौन सीखा है सिर्फ बातों से. सबको एक हादसा ज़रूरी है. So I can give you lectures for days, but this thing won't move. This particular thing, this analytical thing, this path you have to travel on your own. Maybe you can follow the pattern provided, but that again comes. You'll be looking at toppers' copies. अरे यार इसने मुझसे better लिखा, देखो कैसे इसने लिखा. So you'll slowly acquire those things. This is how it is done. Any more questions? No questions? Okay. So coming to your question, essay. So how to go about essays? So the basic dictum is, you write what you read. आप जैसा पढ़ते हैं, आप वैसा लिखते हैं. So the preparation of essay actually begins sometimes very early, even before you start preparing for UPSC. There will be some people who will write fabulous essays because they were reading good stuff, they were reading good books. So, like, not the sometimes fiction books, sometimes biographies. So these people generally have a habit of writing good essays. But अगर आपका ये doubt है और अगर आप इसको सुन रहे हैं तो definitely आप मेरे जैसे हैं जो ऐसे में इतने अच्छे नहीं थे. So you have to understand how to tackle this thing. So there will be two things: how to develop the skill of writing, and second, how to structure your essay. For structuring your essay, again there are videos. Like there is an answer writing class. I'll tell you the basics. There is an introduction again in essay, there is a conclusion again in essay, and there is a body in essay. So आप topic देखते हैं, usually there are code based topics. So usually introduction part, apart from starting quote, data, or these ideas, we go on explaining what we understand the meaning of the essay. This is the beginning of the essay. In body, usually we give more examples and more substantiation of our points. For example, the common is the pastel approach, they say, politically, economically, socially, and all. So this is how we give on examples. And in the end, we conclude. Now this has to be again dramatic conclusion. So again, two divisions. First, we sum up. Before summing up, we take forward-looking approach. How can we make the things better? Because what we have done till now is we have criticized sometimes, we have criticized the government and all, but our job as a bureaucrat is to be positive. And I mean, the job you want to aspire for is bureaucratic. So you cannot end with a bad note. You have to give a positive ending. You cannot just say कि ये सब बुरा बुरा हुआ तो ये दुनिया ही जला देते हैं, ऐसा नहीं. तो the positive approach has to be there, and this is how you conclude the essay. इसमें और फाइन ट्यूनिंग की जा सकती है. मैंने आपको पॉलिटिकल इकोनॉमिक बताया. देर आर मोर वेज. क्रोनोलॉजिकली भी कोई लिखता है. इन पास्ट दिस यूज टू हैपन, इन प्रेजेंट दिस is happening, and in future this is how it happens. So these are ways of arranging the essay. So there are more structured ways you can understand. But what I'll tell you now is beyond those structured ways, how to improvise your essay. So first, you have time, you can start reading good things. The easiest is to read the newspaper, because sometimes we have a habit of, say, directly jumping to PT books or current affairs magazines, which are short notes kind of things. You don't develop a reading habit. So there are editorials in newspaper which are good starting point. Though I don't agree with the editorials at all, there are editorials which are very critical of government and which may not be right. They are opinionated. But what we have to understand is we have to develop a flow. How they write, we have to write like that. So there are other books. For example, if you read Economic Survey also, you can read now because Economic Survey will come again in January, February. By that time, you are so busy with your preparation that nobody reads the entire survey. So you can just start reading how good they write. And the beauty about Economic Survey is they write to the worst of the things, they'll make it look beautiful so that the government is not shown in poor light. So this is one thing you can take from them. Even if they have to say, there's a hole in this road and this is why we cannot walk. They say India is looking forward to building over the small problems which we had in the past, and our future is positive. So this is a play of words, so you'll slowly get a hack of it once you are into preparation. And there's no limit to reading good. If you are done with it, you can read better books. There are some biographies and other books you can go on searching about it. So if you have a hobby of that thing, it will help you a lot. And one more thing, you can read toppers' copies. There are few people who have written very good essays and have scored very good. Simple logic is there are freely available mark sheet of these people. You can check who have scored good marks, download on Vision IAS, on other platforms, forum and all. They provide topper copies. Directly download topper copies, read the topper copies, how they write, reciprocate. As simple as that. Next comes current affairs. How to go about current affairs. Now, newspaper is must, but you cannot read newspaper on the first day itself. Even if you read, it won't make sense. So if you are done with the basics of the subject like polity, history, not history, polity, economics, I think, this is fine enough. Then newspaper will start making sense to you. And then you'll understand that political debates, जैसे अगला election में कौन जीतने वाला है, is not useful. या ICC World Cup कौन हारा, कौन जीता, क्या हुआ, is not useful. What is useful is the news which we ignore. So you'll develop a hack of it. Some people make notes of it. What I followed was iPad I used. In iPad, there is OneNote app. You can make separate headings and make notes in it. So it's easy to arrange because otherwise notes copies become too heavy to carry because of newspaper notes. And maybe in beginning, if you're not making notes, then also it is fine because you don't know what is exactly very good for you. Because sometimes you take examples for ethics, but till you have studied ethics, you don't know what to take as an example. So to begin with, you might face challenges, but that gradually goes away. Year end, there are good compilations. The PT books and the Mains 365 books, they are good compilation. And I'm not just promoting one institute's book. You take any institute's book because the news which happened in the year was same. So everybody more or less covers the same book. So whichever you feel like, you can go for it. But that is one good place to cover up the entire thing. So I followed this approach for current affairs. Any questions?
Sir, sometimes students prepare current affairs on the cost of static portion. It's a very frequent doubt. So please elaborate.
So the doubt is sometimes student prepare current affairs on the cost of static portion. I feel static portion is must and cannot be compromised upon, because what I'm saying is what you'll understand. For example, you look at polity current affairs. There are not much current affairs. There are few rules which are written. If you have studied polity thoroughly, you know most of the things. And it's just about the repetition of same things. For example, the sedition law. It has been in news, I think, from the very beginning when it was created by Macaulay. So it comes again and again, again and again. You have to know about that thing. There are other defection laws and all. So they keep on coming again and again. But the approach has to be changed. For example, if you go to newspaper first, what will you do? You'll read that particular news. You'll understand the reason why it is there, how it is there. You try to learn. And then it becomes difficult to understand. Rather, if you have studied the static portion, and when you see the news, okay, you say, okay, I remember I have studied already. This is just a repetition of this news. You can go back and it's like pasting in the same place of the book. You're not exactly pasting, the memory fits like that. So, very sorry. So I feel this is the approach which should be adopted. This is what I have followed. Is it fine, sir? Okay. Next is interview. So I scored quite good marks in interview. So my marks were 184 and 193. So I'm not saying I was the highest scorer, but one of the higher side marks these are. और क्यों आए? 1 घंटे की स्पीच के बाद अगर ये बताना पड़े कि इंटरव्यू में अच्छे नंबर क्यों आए, तो फिर क्या खा खाए? No. Just kidding. I'll tell you the way to go for it. Though it is very far-fetched, and maybe it will make more sense once you are done with prelims and mains, then the preparation begins, but since it is there. The basic is there is a DEF which you will be filling after you clear mains. There's a DEF form you have to fill. So this is the form which is there in front of the board. So they look at this form, your basic academic performance, your hobbies, your achievements. They ask question from it. So you have to prepare that. This is first thing. Second, current affairs. At that time when you will be preparing for interview, I hope you all are there, and maybe I can tell you at that time. So you have to go for that time's current affairs. That time you increase the number of newspaper also. You try to go for other places where you don't miss major news. Specifically going for your state news. For example, about Rajasthan, we don't read much in UPSC, but in interview you'll have to read about these kind of things. Then there are group mocks. Like we make a group of friends, we start discussing current affairs, questioning, and all. This is how you develop this preparation for interview. There are other things you have to follow. You have to have a confidence of speaking. You cannot be shying back, but you don't have to tell lies. You cannot be confident and say, I'm this and that, and when you're not. So these are the points which will make sense once you are at the stage of interview, not now. But I have told the basic. Maybe I hope you need more help in interview once you are at that stage. You want more questions about, you want to know more about interview, I can go on if you have questions. No? Any other questions till now about other things if you have? Please keep asking questions whenever you get a chance. Is sociology good for optional? I have told before because I'm not the right person. I have not done from sociology. So I'll harm you if I say it's good or bad. But yes, there is no subject which is good or bad. In general, I can say. If you are good with sociology, you think you can outbeat other people in sociology, it's good for you.
Because they think math with 70% marks, they forget that everybody is getting 90%. Every subject is relative competition. ये बहुत भूल जाते हैं चीज़ों। लगता है कि maths में मेरे तो 60 आते हैं, और तो कितने भी आए, but I will get 60% marks. They have this impression. Relative competition they always ignore.
So, sir, I was rightly pointed out there is a relative competition between different subjects and within the subjects also. So my basic dictum goes, you have to read about the subject. Do you understand the subject? Suppose you are from that background of the subject, you will fare very well in that subject. This is what you feel, then go for the subject. This cross comparison is very difficult. For example, the same person can become rank 1 with the same optional. and may fail with the same optional. Everybody has same optional. There are people who are scoring with, for example, sociology. There might be people in top 10, 20 with sociology, and there are people who have not cleared with sociology. And there is a relative difference between different subjects. Sometimes some people score more in one subject. Maths is usually higher scoring subject as compared to other. This is what, but it has a bigger syllabus. It has difficulty. And for example, आज मुझे कोई कहता है कि maths कर ले, मैं नहीं कर सकता है. I'm not from a maths background. So these are the challenges we'll have to face. So based on all these things, you have to choose the subject. But if you are good with it, for sociology you asked, go for it. Don't think twice, because if you have done it. Okay. Now, any more doubts? Okay. Time management. How to go for it. Now, UPSC is not a hobby. It's a full-time thing. This is what I feel. Whenever you decide for this exam, you have to give dedicated focus. So there are financial problems, then you have to balance your time with job and all. But that just increases the difficulty. It needs full dedicated focus. So if it is feasible on your end that you can skip other things and focus on studies, this is the best time management thing you can do. And you have to at least give for 1 year complete focus to UPSC preparation. This is what I feel. And I have already discussed upon the way you have to go out, how till December you have to go for mains and prelims together, and then gradually mature over the subjects. So this is what I think. And just one thing, don't copy others' timetable. Actually, I'm not, in days timetable also, I'm not specifically mentioning my timetable. Because this is a habit. Some people ask, oh, what was your timetable? How you used to study? What time you used to sleep? How you used to play or not? That is separate for everybody. For example, I just tell a small part about my that I cannot study in morning. I feel sleepy. So I used to sleep only in morning. I used to study in night and afternoon time. So everybody is different. For example, after having lunch and afternoon, I sleep. And for example, there are few people in the class who are sleepy. But that is their normal circadian rhythm. You have to understand. Don't push yourself in that time only. यार ये कर रहा है तो मुझे भी करना है. Adjust things according to you and give your full focus to it. वही ना कि we are at that stage, पढ़ना है, खाना है, सोना है, and repeat करना है. So just adjust the things for you and keep doing. Next pointer is revisions. How many times you have to revise the things to remember. So as many times so that you forget the number of times you have done the revision and only remember the content. This is the idea of revision. There is no end to revision. You can keep on revising as many times as possible. Oh, famous line है ना, करत करत अभ्यास के जड़मती होत सुजान, रसरी आवत जावत के सिल पर परत निशान. So the more effort you do. Obviously smart work is required. You cannot just keep on reading whatever book came to you and keep revising it. Smart work is required, but beyond that, hard work is also required and is indispensable. Cannot be done away with. Okay. Okay, so mostly on the subject part we are done. We are moving for another section of pointers which are related to anxiety and other part. So any specific doubt related to prelims, mains, interview, any stage preparation?
आपने वैसे एलिमिनेट किया कि कोर पे ध्यान देना है. ये बहुत गलती करते हैं हर सब्जेक्ट के कोर पे कमांड मल्टीपल रिवीजन के बिना फैंसी फैक्ट्स की तरफ. क्वेश्चन इसके लीस्ट चांसेस उसकी तरफ बहुत ज़्यादा होगा. तो जनरली मैं कहता हूँ कि जब तक कोर पे 100% कमांड नहीं, डोंट वेंचर आउट.
Okay, so sir has raised a very right thing. The focus we give to core things and the fancy ideas. It comes naturally in UPSC when you will be looking at the papers, prelims, mains. The problem is we look at one kind of question, for example, one specific question जो किसी को नहीं आया था, and we start going behind it. कि यार ये कहाँ से आया? We'll be reading about it. But as I told you, it's not an exam of selection. यहाँ पे 100% number लाने वाला नहीं जीत रहा है. It's an exam of elimination. And I stick to my facts. What the story I have told you, the evolution story, how each one is eliminated. What you have to do is be good with the core things, the basics. कल आपसे कोई पूछे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन क्या है और आप जवाब नहीं दे पा रहे हैं, now you don't deserve to be a bureaucrat. और आपसे कोई बहुत डीप लीगल टर्म पूछी जाती है and you don't know, it's fine. You are, at the end of the day, bureaucracy is a generalist service. You should know the basics of all the things. And you, as an aspirant, have to think like that only. There will be difficult questions, no doubt about it. But you don't have to read everything. सारे 100% तो करने भी नहीं है. What you cannot go wrong. Now it's sin to go wrong if you go wrong with the basics. And this becomes important subjects like say economics. There will be direct questions. Last year prelims, I think there were few questions. Repo rate increases, repo rate decreases, what to do with it. Now, these were very easy questions. If you know the concepts, you cannot go wrong with these questions. And these are decider questions. If you cannot solve the questions, then however much fancy facts you read, you cannot clear the exam. So, you cannot compromise the basics. This is one thing. This is what I said about the revisions also. The main thing, keep on revising as many times as possible. Any more doubts? Please go on.
Is it necessary to read the monthly magazine every month along with the newspaper?
Okay. Her doubt is it necessary to read the monthly magazine? Vision provides monthly magazine. So what I feel is, if you are reading newspaper daily, then you are in touch with the news and you can directly go with the yearly end magazine. It won't harm you because you sometimes keep jotting down your own points, so you remember those things. So this can be one approach, because in fact in my first go, this is what I did wrong. I went for monthly magazines, I went for yearly end magazines, and then I did what? I started comparing. Is there a difference? Which I don't know why I did, because there's no point doing that. So at the end of the day, news is one. What I want to say is you cannot simply rely on year-end magazine, because then the topic will not make sense to you. There's a gradual evolution of the things, and the importance, sometimes if you look at UPSC prelims paper also, you'll understand some questions can be tackled based on your understanding in general. For example, I specifically don't recall the question, very sorry, but sometimes when you see the news evolving, you understand कि यार ये नहीं हो सकता, अगर ये हो रहा होता तो शायद झगड़ा नहीं हो रहा होता इतना, ऐसा कुछ something. I solve many questions like that, and this cannot be acquired just by current affairs magazine. So you cannot compromise on that. पर current affair magazine के हर type की magazine पढ़ना is not fair. अगर 6 monthly magazine आती तो आप उसको भी पढ़ेंगे नहीं, not necessary. So choose one. अगर आपने monthly पढ़ लिए तो it's fine, revise from it. Manage means? Her doubt is that how to manage so many subjects. There are so many subjects and so much revision to do, and then we have to do current affairs and all those things. So what I say is, revision is difficult in the first go. It will be less difficult in the second go. It will be neutral in the third go. In the fourth go, it will be easy. In the fifth go, it will be more easy, and this is the progress. What you have to understand, and what I'm saying is not about current affairs. Current affairs is a secondary thing. You have to understand there are two parts. There's a core element, and then there is the peripheral part or the knowledge part. For example, what is sedition law, and like I was telling, the positive, negatives, the cases and related to it is one thing. You should know why it was in news recently. Was there false allegation? Was there Supreme Court judgment regarding it? It's our secondary news. So the static or the core knowledge, you should be thorough. You should have revised that part multiple times. This later part can keep on fluctuating. It doesn't matter. But never go wrong with your core. And it is looking difficult because you have started. But believe me, you won't be out of the list because of this. Everybody is able to do the basic of the syllabus. It becomes a competition how much better at the end of the day. Any more questions?
Sir, how much time should we spend on daily basis? Because we are magazines also, newspaper, then revision of the subjects, and then optional.
थोड़ा मैं एक स्लीप से कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर लेते हैं, सोचते हैं कि सोना कम है और एंटरटेनमेंट उससे कॉम्प्रोमाइज करते हैं, बाकी टाइम यूज करते हैं.
Again the doubt is that what to do about the sleep thing, because there is so much to do and all. Okay, actually I was talking, I'll go for the next thing. I was talking about anxiety and stress only. So this is one problem we face, and as a doctor, what I feel, I was a doctor, so you have to understand what is first. मतलब there's a Hindi saying, मतलब the health comes first. If jaan hai, to jahan hai. So if you don't have life, how can you go about other things? And it actually helps you in your preparation also, because till now I have not slept less for even a single day. Even before my examinations, I used to sleep fine because I am very much particular about it. Because you have to understand, this exam is a very big exam. And okay, suppose if I say there is an exam of prelims tomorrow, I cannot tell you 10 facts which will help you score 10 more marks. There is nothing like that. The general preparation you do for 1 year will help you more than any compromise on last night's sleep. So you have to understand this nature of exam. And if you start compromising in your sleep now only, then it becomes very much difficult to even sit for the exam. Your health will be so much deteriorated, and in fact there are a lot of medical conditions related to anxiety, depressions and insomnia which you will start facing if you go that trajectory. So to reduce anxiety and stress, what you can do is, first I think you can have a plan B. And I don't shy when I say that, because sometimes people say, nahi, we'll do it, ek baar mein kar denge. But what you need is to be sane. I was a doctor, I was not looking for a job. You have to understand, when you are sitting in this big competition, you are certainly not looking for a job. It's a bigger thing. So if you can have, it reduces the anxiety. In many toppers have it. I'm not saying this is the only way. You can always prove me wrong, and it's a big thing. No dictum applies here, but this is one good option. This is what I think. Second, forget about plan B. Second thing is having smaller targets. What we see is, like you said, ma'am, that itna sara syllabus hai. What we do is we start looking at the entire thing in one go. Make smaller targets. आज एक chapter करना है, एक chapter हो गया तो आराम से सोएंगे. Yes, I did achieve something for the day. This is how the things have to be done. And I used to exercise every day. I mean, though there is a bit of fat if you look around, but in spite of that, I used to exercise every day, and till now I'm doing it. It's more of a habit. For example, you can take it like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, cycling, walking, whichever suits you. It doesn't harm, and it becomes a habit. So include it. And one more thing I say is, what this exams need is not a push कि आज कुछ कर देंगे, मतलब है ना, that revolution feeling कि आज कुछ कर देंगे कल फिर भूल गए, नहीं. It requires more of consistency. Small baby steps every day. There's a story we know, tortoise and rabbit ran and slept. So this is so cliche story that there's no point telling. But the message is not cliche. हम अपनी लाइफ में जब भी सोचते हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल हो सकता है कि आज मुझसे इंस्पायर हो जाएं और कल सोचें कि आज तो कुछ कर देंगे और कल सुबह भूल गए कुछ हुआ था. सो नाउ दैट मेक्स नो सेंस. रादर यू हैव टू कीप वर्किंग एवरी डे. देयर विल बी फेलियर्स, but you have to move forward. So there is this thing, it's hard to beat a person who keeps showing up every day, because he has changed the game. He is not fighting to winning, he is just fighting to outlasting every other person, and that's a very different game. So you have to keep showing up every day. You are not pushing for just one thing कि आज कुछ करना ही है. Rather छोटा, even if you are sitting in class, coming, doing one topic each day, you are closer, inching closer and closer towards your goal. And that's more than enough. And at the end of the day, appreciate what you have done. Sometimes patting on the back is also required. कि यार आज अच्छा काम किया, आज एक टॉपिक समझा, एक चीज़ करी, which is also required. क्या होता है कि, as I told you, this is a ruthless examination. It has no mercy. आप prelims निकाल लेते हैं तो मेंस निकालिए, आप मेंस निकाल लेते हैं तो इंटरव्यू क्लियर कीजिए. आप लिस्ट में आ जाते हैं, IAS बनना है, और आप लिस्ट में नहीं आते हैं तो आपने प्रीलिम्स निकाला, मेंस निकाला, कुछ भी निकाला, कितने भी घंटे पड़े, इट्स जीरो. मतलब ना, विनर्स टेक ऑल काइंड ऑफ एग्जामिनेशन. सो इन दैट द मोटिवेशन विल कम व्हेन यू सेलिब्रेट स्मॉल सक्सेसेस. कि यार आज मैंने सोचा था ये करने के लिए, दिस स्मॉल टॉपिक, दिस स्मॉल टेस्ट आई हैव डन, विच इज गुड, आई विल कीप डूइंग बेटर. सो दिस विल गिव यू अ पॉजिटिव माइंड सेट टू गो फॉरवर्ड. इज इट फाइन? Have I addressed the doubts, sir? Have I addressed your doubts, sir? Okay. Any more doubts? We are moving towards closing the session. I'll tell you a few more things. Any more doubts regarding it?
This is a unique exam where even numbers are failing and average students are getting. Core area efforts they always follow. They can do the baby step thing. And there are various stages of preparation. Many things they have outsourced coaching, but they also do the same thing. The student, specifically student should learn writing. More things the student should do, they are doing the things the teacher should do.
Sir told me about this problem which you are facing is you are focusing on peripheral aspect, that going around collecting this material or that material and missing on the main thing that you have to do the preparation. So there is a bit advantage of staying in Jaipur regarding that. I did my preparation from Jaipur in my home only. I never went to Delhi. Here less of issues are there. For example, in Delhi, as my friends tell me, आप चाय पीने भी जाते हैं तो आप चाय के साथ 4 बातें एक साथ लेके आते हैं कि यार ये भी पढ़ लेना चाहिए था, ये भी पढ़ लेना चाहिए था. So there will be an advantage. Here less number of people give you that kind of advice. And in this examination you have to understand, if you are not able to be clear this exam, or if you fail, it won't be because you studied less number of things. It will be because you have not studied the same core things with efficiency. So what you have to do is hit on the same things in a smarter, better way, rather going around collecting many more things and creating a pile of it which you can never retain, remember, and not revise, obviously. This is what I feel. And when I say fail, again, so this thing which comes to my mind is, after all the things I have told you, what do you think? Will you be able to you will be able to achieve success? Now this is problem. Sometimes you can fail also. And the logic of the head says you keep provisions for failing also. It should be allowed. I feel about saying this, though this is the motivational crowd and I should not be saying it, but what I feel is, there's one good movie, Chichore also, if you look at it. It's not just about, the name of the movie is like that, kya bol raha hai, but it's a very good movie. Winning is not just about getting the rank 1 or getting into the list or whatever service you desire for. Winning is about your efforts also. If you have done the good efforts, and even if the result sometimes are not optimal, it will start happening from the smaller test you are giving to bigger test also. Then also, life continues. I tell you a story. So this is a Chinese story. There used to be a farmer, so whose horse ran away. मतलब एक किसान था जिसका घोड़ा भाग गया. तो सबने कहा कि अरे किस्मत ही खराब है इसका तो एक ही घोड़ा था, भाग गया वो भी. तो उसने बोला maybe not. He was not so sure कि किस्मत खराब है. उसका घोड़ा वापस आया कुछ दिनों बाद, कुछ घोड़े और ले आया दोस्त बना के. तो सबने कहा अरे कितना लकी है, इसके तो घोड़े बढ़ गए. इसने कहा maybe not. आफ्टर फ्यू डेज उसका बेटा उन वाइल्ड घोड़ों को टेम करने की कोशिश कर रहा था, गिर गया, चोट लग गई, पाँव टूट गया. सबने कहा अरे देखो कितना अनलकी है, इकलौता बेटा था, पाँव टूट गया. He said maybe not. आफ्टर फ्यू डेज एन आर्मी केम, वॉर चल रहा था, तो जितने भी फिट लोग थे उनको रिक्रूट कर लिया, बेटा बच गया. सबने कहा बहुत लकी है. क्या लकी था वो? Maybe not. Very good. Smart. So what you have to understand is, there is nothing which is good or bad in this universe. The universe keeps on moving, and so you have to keep on working. The things will keep on. For example, मुमताज़ का मरना दुनिया, शाहजहाँ के लिए बहुत दुख की बात थी, पर दुनिया को ताजमहल मिल गया. So good and bad things is just a perspective. हो सकता है कि even if not this exam, you'll do something great in your life. This is what I feel. But this doesn't mean we'll stop working. What I feel is, in UPSC and beyond, whatever you do in your life, you have to follow the approach of patience, perseverance, and keep trying. At this very moment, I'll tell you one more story I recall of Chinese bamboo. Because right now what you are looking is that I am the one successful, and आप मेरी बात भी सुन रहे हैं, which is quite surprising. इतनी देर इतने सारे लोग बैठ के मेरी बात सुनना चाह रहे हैं. तो everybody looks at the limelight, the easier part. So the story of Chinese bamboo goes, this Chinese bamboo, if you plant the seeds, You water it, it will give you the first best fertilizer. For 1 year, there is no growth. You keep watering it for another 2nd year, there is no growth. Keep doing for the 3rd year, keep doing for the 4th year and the 5th year, there is no growth. 5 साल तक बीज लगाया हुआ है, खूब पानी दे रहे हैं, पौधा उग ही नहीं रहा. 5 साल बाद पौधा उगना स्टार्ट होता है. And within 3 weeks or I think 6 weeks, 80 feet की हाइट अचीव करता है वो. They say you can literally see it grow. आप उसकी तरफ देख रहे हैं और वो बढ़ रहा है ऐसे, इस स्पीड से. So the what world looks around is, they look at the miracle. कि यार देखो कितना आश्चर्यचकित करने वाला पौधा है. What a miraculous tree it is or a plant it is. So what you look at UPSC from the outer perspective is what a success or what the limelight part it is. But what you forget is the hard work which went away. There were many more days where nobody was listening to me. I was on my own. So these are your days of hard work. This is the time you have to keep watering, keep putting fertilizer even when you are not getting any leaves out of it. You are not getting anything. And it's, as I said, UPSC is not the end, I have told you before. So if you are in UPSC, then also, if you are not in UPSC, then also in your life, this is a thing you should remember. So if you have doubts, maybe now or I like to end with a good poem which I remember and which used to keep me motivated. So should I end with that? You have a doubt. First I'll take the doubts, then I'll take the poem. So the doubt is 7 to 8 hours study is enough. So what do you want to do after 8 hours? I mean, look, the idea is it's not the number of hours, it's the efficiency of hours. है ना? आप हो सकता है आप 4 घंटे में ही बहुत अच्छा पढ़ लेती हैं और आप रैंक 1 अचीव कर लेती हैं. So I cannot deny that thing because it's the efficiency. But what I feel is you should be 100% honest with your approach. मैं थोड़ा स्लो था, मुझे थोड़े ज़्यादा घंटे लग जाते थे और एज अ मेडिको हमारी थोड़ी आदत भी होती है, पढ़ने में इतना जोर नहीं आता है तो थोड़ा घंटे इतने फ़र्क नहीं पड़ते. आई नेवर यूज्ड टू काउंट आवर्स. तो मैं आप मुझसे पूछेंगे कितने घंटे पढ़ते हो, यार मुझे नहीं पता. पर हाँ, अगर मेरा मन नहीं करता तो मैं आराम से बैठ के टीवी भी देखता हूँ कि अभी मन नहीं है, मुझे पता है पढ़ाई नहीं होगी तो टाइम वेस्ट करने की ज़रूरत नहीं. But when you are sitting there, you should be 100% there. This is what I feel. Any more doubts? Please. Please, please, no problem. Please. No, I was not doing job. This is what I said. I completely took leave and I studied for it because this is what I feel about whatever you are doing, you should be 100% committed to it. In job, you get small amount of money. Though I was fortunate in that part, कि I had no financial issues. There were parents who were ready to support me. कि अगर तेरे को 1-2 साल एक्स्ट्रा भी लगते हैं, तो कोई बात नहीं. We are there for you. So, but I agree. We come from different backing. We have different struggles. मेरे struggles कुछ और थी. आपकी मुझसे मुश्किल हो सकती है. So you might have to work and balance out time. So I understand that part. Any more questions? Go on if you have doubts. No? Please, please, sir.
मेरा पर्सनल कन्विक्शन है कि जिसका कोड पूरा कमांड है वो अनएम्प्लॉयड है. बहुत क्लियर है. किसी कोड पे कमांड करेंगे एम्प्लॉयमेंट का इशू है.
So, sir says there's a question that if somebody has a command over core, he won't be unemployed in his life. So, many people has doubt of employment issues. This is what I feel. You have to understand, आप बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम को अपने साथ लेके चल रहे हैं. पूरा एम्प्लॉयमेंट आप एक साथ टैकल करना चाह रहे हैं. वी डोंट नो व्हाट लाइज इन फ्यूचर एंड व्हाट इज गुड फॉर यू. वी डोंट नो कि आपको एम्प्लॉयमेंट ज़रूरी भी है. दो इट्स अग्रीड पार्ट कि अगर आप इतना मेहनत कर लेते हैं एम्प्लॉयमेंट मिल जाएगा. बट व्हाट आई वांट टू टेल यू इज़, अगर आप इतना बड़ा पहाड़ एक साथ लेके जाएंगे तो आप आगे ही नहीं जा पाएंगे. जब आपने डिसाइड कर लिया इस एग्ज़ाम को देने का, टू बी इन दैट मोमेंट, आज का टारगेट एक चैप्टर करना ही है ना, पूरा पहाड़ लेके जाना नहीं है. एज द फेमस सेइंग इज दैट बुद्धा के पास जब वो आते हैं किसी की डेथ हो जाती है तो मदर आती है कि इनको बचा लो. व्हाट बुद्धा सेज इज कि he didn't save the person. What he do is tell that this is life, people keep coming and going. Same way what I feel is if somebody says कि आपका employment होता है नहीं होता है वगैरह is a bigger thing. There are things which we don't know. And हम ये भी नहीं जानते हैं कि आपका employment ज़रूरी है कि नहीं है. मतलब कल पता चलता है आपको जॉब नहीं मिली, आप परेशान होकर मुंबई भागे और पता चला आप नेक्स्ट शाहरुख खान बन गए. तो what I said about this story, आपको फार्मर की स्टोरी बताई थी, it might appear funny, but we don't know what will work in our favor and what won't work in our favor. What you can do today is give 100% effort. We can be like Chinese bamboo. We can keep on putting our efforts. We should not be worried about the results because it might take time. This is what I feel should be our approach. पूरा पहाड़ एक साथ लेके नहीं. Baby steps, one step at a time. You have to move forward. Please, please.
पढ़ना है, मेरा इकोनॉमिक्स नहीं हुआ है, मेरे को इकोनॉमिक्स में कुछ समझ में नहीं आता है, मैं एग्जाम में तो उसे रिकॉर्ड करें.
नहीं मैंने आपको नहीं इकोनॉमिक्स एट द एंड क्यों मैंने दिस द डाउट इज दैट ही इज रीडिंग करंट अफेयर्स एंड ही इज सेइंग ही इज नॉट एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड इकोनॉमिक्स बिकॉज ही हैव नॉट डन द मेन स्टैटिक पोर्शन ऑफ इट. बट आई सेड यू कैन नॉट अंडरस्टैंड करंट अफेयर्स इफ यू हैव नॉट डन पॉलिटी एंड इकोनॉमिक्स. This is basic. Even if you start reading newspaper, it won't make much sense to you. You will start reading all kind of news which won't. So I don't know why you want to do economics last. I'll suggest do economics in the very beginning. Both polity and economics are must. Then only करा देंगे sir is there for economics. And I feel this is the approach. These two subjects are basic. For example, आप history हो सकता है बाद में पढ़ लें. History से related newspaper भी कुछ नहीं आता. एक चीज़ और कही थी फॉर चाइनीज़ बैम्बू, यू शुड बी पेशेंट. थोड़ा पेशेंस चाहिए आपको. डोंट बी इम्पेशेंट. है ना, इकोनॉमिक्स भी हो जाएगा, न्यूज़ भी पढ़ लोगे, पर जस्ट स्टे देयर इन द गेम. मोर क्वेश्चंस? नो क्वेश्चंस? आई विल टेक दैट आई एक्सप्लेन वेरी वेल. From your side? One more question? No, I have just I feel like everything should be end on a positive note in general. So there is one poem I personally like, so I've written to tell you in front of you, and it keeps me motivated. I hope it does the same for you. So it is a poem of रामधारी दिनकर. मैंने खुद ने नहीं लिखी है. So सच है विपत्ति जब आती है कायर को ही दहलाती है. सूरमा नहीं विचलित होते, क्षण एक नहीं धीरज खोते, विघ्नों को गले लगाते हैं, कांटों को राह बनाते हैं. है कौन विघ्न ऐसा जग में टिक सका, आदमी के मग में खम ठोक ठेलता जब नर है, पर्वत के जाते पांव उखड़ हैं. मानव जब जोर लगाता है, पत्थर पानी बन जाता है. थैंक यू.